are you all today?
Hello.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here with us today. And could you all just put in the chat group where you're from? Basically, will be good to know that some of you all, I know some of you are not from Malaysia. Just let us know where you're from. If you're from Malaysia, just say Malaysia. So today, what we plan to do is we have a panel of five gentlemen who's basically two from UK, from China, Turkey, and two from Malaysia as well, including myself. So the whole objective of this webinar is actually to bring about some knowledge, some information about what XR is all about and what's happening in the industry. There has been so much of hype about what XR is since the days when Mandalorian came into the movies. Not the movies, in terms of the TV series where Disney has actually, broadcasted throughout the whole world. And what it has brought about is a lot of changes in terms of how we actually tell our stories these days. And that has actually reinforced when the pandemic happened, and that brought about lots of changes in terms of where virtual production is concerned. Back in the days when we had virtual sets, and this is not something new, this technology. It is just that it has changed tremendously on how we actually do things. And this is why we're having this event in terms of where virtual is concerned. How do we actually go about and bring this technology to different type of applications? It can be events, it can be broadcast, it can be film, it can be education, whatever, and it can be in different sort of industries as well, from medical, tourism, and whatnot. Yeah, and the idea of actually having XR is not just putting the Oculus lenses in here. It is just about talking about what extended reality is, what is beyond the screen, and how we can actually perceive it, not just right in front of us, 360 degrees as well. So let me just introduce you to the panelists who are here. And firstly, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Frank Wu, Business Development and Sales Manager from AOTO Electronics. Frank is from AOTO and he's been there since 2019 and has been actively involved in rolling out AOTO LED tiles of virtual production in UK, South Korea, and USA, setting up creative VPs and XR stages. VP is virtual production. He's also been much motivated to learn from the industry, passionate to help worldwide new partners achieve their goals with best turnkey solutions. He's looking for things from the viewer's angle, bridging the distance between them and the industries alike. Now, our next panelist is Mr. Luke Herford, Regional Technical Manager for Frontend Technology. Luke has served as a Regional Technical Manager for Asia Pacific at Frontend Technology, a role in which he is responsible for demonstrating, train, and supporting users in Frontend Technology, the XRAS range of LED panel processors, with a particular focus on live and virtual production XR applications. Luke maintains a strong desire to learn more about every aspect of virtual production XR as a creative and technical endeavor. Mr. Serkan Akar is Regional Director of APAC Oceania for Zero Density, HQ in Turkey. Serkan Akar has a comprehensive software and high-tech solution business management background gathered from telecoms and media industries. He is now leading Zero Density's business in the APAC region to expand the use of reality softwares for virtual production into new territories and establish new connections with clients and partners. Next panel is Mr. Mike Ruddle, Global Business Development Director of Sports and Broadcast from NCAM Technologies. Mike has been working at the cutting edge of broadcast technology for the last 20 years. He joined NCAM as Director of Business Development in 2019 to bring his experience to bear on the next phase of growth and launch of the MK2 product. Mike's current technology focus is in helping customers to leverage the increasing crossover between broadcast and film technologies and production techniques to best deliver their creative ambitions. NCAM delivers this through the most flexible and powerful suite of tools in the market today. Now, Let's go to Panasonic. Mr. Wilfred Yap of Mr. Wilfred Yap is fellow Malaysian, just like me. Wilfred Yap joined Panasonic Malaysia in 2015. He has attached to the Pro AV department and was involved in professional cameras and broadcast business developments. His expertise in video production contributed in major projects involving proof of concepts, system designs, project implementation, as well as product training and support to end users. In addition, he has worked with Panasonic strategic alliances to form a collaboration for product development and integration. He helped provide total end-to-end solutions to meet customers' requirements in various applications. And finally, me, as you know me, I'm as simple as it gets. I just try to moderate and make sure everybody gets the best of the information as possible. I have been in industry for the last 35 years, covering a lot of areas from education to broadcasters, to filmmakers, to even hosting different sorts of master classes over the years. So, and this is actually a true break away from the norm and truly interesting venture to move into from the experiences I had over the years. So I'm going to leave the details about the organization in the chat group, where Adeline will just post it out for you all to just have a read a little bit later, because we're pressed for time. And I'll just get straight into the Q&A. Well, how many of us are here today? It's 37 so far. Okay, that's good. Thank you everybody for coming in. I just want to say thank you, just in case Mr. Yoki from Posttime is here. What is that? Give him his total gratefulness for endorsing this event from Posttime, who is actually the Post-Production Association of Malaysia, right? Now the summary of the XRAS. This event is going to happen 4 times in the next 4 months consecutively. The next one will be we'll be talking about film in education, XR in film education, and it follow with the others as well. We'll give you the schedule later on. Why we're having this? 3 main this thing is provide the industry with the know-how, create content creators, alternative shooting solutions in a nutshell. You know, yeah, so that's it. So just before we start, just want to know that please keep your videos off, audio muted. The Q&A is at the end of the session. If you have any questions, put it in the chat group. We will address it just after all the when all the panels have answered their questions. Yeah. So without further ado, I'd like to start with the first round of questions, which is open to everybody, all the panelists. How does maybe Frank, you would like to start first? Yeah, Frank, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sorry, you went out of the screen. All right, thanks. How does your company play a role in AR, XR, and what are your solutions? And how has the pandemic impacted your business?
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Frank. So for our role in the XR studio and the virtual production industry, we basically function as a role providing our LED panels and LED tiles to our partners, and also for the end users to build up the LED volumes for the virtual and digital stage. And for the solutions we're constantly providing, including the digital signage, the panels, and also our processors, and mostly for the film industry for virtual production, we are using our partner Brompton processor SX40, especially. Yeah, and currently for the solutions domestically, we also provide a full package solution, including the installing, stocking structure, and also design. But for overseas, we currently only partnered with our trustworthy partners to deliver a whole package solutions. Yeah, and for the pandemic, that we in the year 2019, because our most partners before we have is for outdoor business, and undoubtedly this awful situation brings a lot of disadvantage to the business, and also for us, we are about 30 to 40% loss compared to the year in 2019. But however, in the year 2021, this year, we actually did a much better job than in the year 2019. Even we made a certain percentage of growth as compared to the same time 2 years ago. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. That's nice. Luke, you want to say something?
I do. Thank you, Lewis. So the role that Frontend Technology plays in XR applications is as a manufacturer of a LED panel processor. So our product sits between video outputs from things like a media server, a games engine, basically any video output device. We'll take that video, process it, and then send that to an LED screen manufactured by one of our partners. So for example, like AOTO, and control the individual panels in that screen. The processors will then manage things like synchronization with other pieces of equipment like cameras, video inputs. And our role is sort of twofold. One, to work with our users and customers who are using our processors for XR, virtual production, for a whole host of different event types. So XR and virtual production have been the dominant applications for over a year now. And to work with LED panel manufacturers, again, like AOTO, to put our processing system into their LED displays. In terms of how the pandemic has affected the business, we have seen the acceleration of our customer base changing and actually in some cases growing. So prior to the pandemic, a lot of our customers were live events, corporate events, in-person events focused, rental companies. With the rise of XR virtual production and some of the restrictions imposed by the virus situation, we have seen a lot of our live events customers pivot towards XR and virtual production, and a lot of interest from what I would consider not traditionally customers of Brompton, like virtual production, visual effects houses, systems integrators focusing on virtual production. On the business side, it has also caused us to adjust how we're working and trying to lead with a more virtual, remote ways of providing training and support where we can't get to see people in person.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. Serkan, can we have your view?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in general,
the role of AR, XR.
Yeah. In general, I mean, we since the beginning of our journey with our product in the market, we were naturally supporting and working with XR solutions. But before the pandemic, it was more like being adopted by the broadcasters and let's say commercial production companies. But during the pandemic, as the let's say audience is still expecting outcome from the event producers and or the other kind of production companies, and the market slided really fast from physical to virtual, and it was a kind of a hybrid solution brought together. The need to our, let's say, software or products has been boomed, and we literally have hundreds of virtual productions in 2020 during the pandemic throughout the world, of course, with our partners. Some of them are corporate, some of them are very basic events. And we also had live streaming for very big concerts. So the application of the program has evolved, and we also evolve in terms of the support. We've been supporting many of our clients with our resources or partner resources on site. And during this pandemic, the travels was a problem. We let's say changed the way we service our clients and partners. And I think it already opened up a new age, especially on the production area, and filmmaking, and the other event making area. And it is going to grow. We still see the growth in this year, and at the same time, our base, the gaming engine base, is also evolving, and we are improving our structure. We are improving the quality and the speed of the system, etc., which was already far beyond the expectations of the market. But we are going ahead, and together with our let's say LED partners, and of course the camera partners and other technology partners together, I think this market is not going to stop here, and it's going to be adopted in the coming years. Pandemic was a terrible thing, but it's really, I hate to say, but it helps people to move from their safe, let's say, confidence area to make something new, which is really much better for their future business.
Yep. Thanks.
So this is what I see.
Excellent. Thanks, Irfan. Mike, can we have your view?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invite first, Lewis, obviously. So in terms of NCAM, we provide real-time camera tracking solutions for VR, AR, XR, mixed reality productions across film, broadcast, live events, all markets really. And just to quickly kind of summarize where camera tracking fits into the chain, obviously we have representatives from different suppliers here. So if you like, we sit with the camera side. So we would be used to track the cameras provided by Panasonic. We would feed the positional and the field of view lens data from that into Serkan's render engine, which would then obviously feed into the bottom processors and then onto the LED tiles. And of course, any kind of production you're doing where those graphics need to be in the correct size, scale, position, and perspective, that is why the render engine, for example, needs to know exactly where the camera is in real time and what the camera can see. And that's what NCAM have been doing since 2012. In terms of how the pandemic changed that for us, it was really interesting timing, because we were just about to launch our brand new Mark II product at NAB back in April 2020. Obviously, the pandemic happened. The world kind of stopped. But that was a really interesting time for our business, because we found that rather than showing the product just to those people who could travel out to Las Vegas for a week and attend the conference, we did all of our presentations, all of our product launches online. And that meant that the amount of inquiries we had just went kind of straight through the roof, which was really brilliant for us, because in terms of customer activity, obviously everything we do in the live event space or in the sports broadcast market, and initially in the film market, of course, that all stopped straight away. So it kept us very busy on the sales side of things, and it was actually quite a challenge to deal with that volume. But really excited to see the kind of the uptake across the market. It did present us with a new challenge, obviously, with a lot of our potential customers now, a lot of clever people sitting at home, seeing in the press and in the media how virtual production, is the way forward. We started getting inquiries, not just from the big film studios and the major broadcasts, but of course just from the guys creating YouTube channels, the guys creating, short form content on their own at the lower end of the market. So a different challenge working with those guys compared to the big film studios. But generally, it's been a challenge for us, the pandemic. I guess the same as everybody, but we've kind of really adapted to that pretty well. It's safe to say that of course we now have to do 90% of our conversation with customers online, and we do miss the kind of, you know, the face-to-face conversations, which hopefully we will get back to soon. But no, an exciting time, but a challenge for us.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Wilfred, can we hear from you?
Yep. Panasonic about this coming up XR. Panasonic is a manufacturer for this broadcast professional camera. As you may know, maybe some sort of like studio camera, handheld camera, or maybe film camera like Vericam. If in the room you are a filmmaker here, you know that. But I would say robotic camera is quite a demand recent year on this, even though suit to the XR solution, like work with the zero density, because we have this actually Panasonic like 12 years manufacturing this robotic camera and keep on developing a new and better camera, better sensor. And this recent few years, we work out some sort of like 3D protocol with the robotic camera to fit in the XR solution. And about the pandemic impact, I would say it's really bring a lot of impact, especially for like filmmaking, no more gathering or the media, like in Malaysia, in like TV3, TV3, right? But somehow the robotic camera has increased, especially in education sector and rental sector. Some sort of like they need a robotic camera without people to operate, but use a joystick control to control the robotic camera. Yep, this is what at the moment in Panasonic Malaysia.
Very good. I mean, it's really interesting to know that, you know, despite the, you know, the situation, the lockdown and everything, we still have something to be resilient and to move forward in our work, the workplace, and, you know, in our offerings as well. Now, what do you think about, what is your vision of the XR market in Asia? You know, if I may ask all of you all the same question again, you know, as we are starting to grow, and I know some of you all are already penetrating and moving really fast in the whole Asian market, in terms of size, activities, and also what are the new releases you have? Very quickly, within 2 minutes each of you all. Frank, you want to start first? Your audio.
Yeah. Sorry, just mute my mic. So for the question is about the XR, right?
Your vision of the Asian market,
in the Asian market. So from the year 2020, from the late 2020, well, we have seen that there's a huge boom, especially in South Korea, China, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. Currently, we have did several rounds of demos with our partners, and we already built over 2 stages in the Asian market. And all those stages are for filming, for high-end filmings, and also for XR broadcasting. And some of them is for virtual events. And to name a few, we know that in South Korea, especially, we heard partners like Exxon, Inkster, and also Dexter Studios, and also for Morphac. All those big effects and also product content companies, they're all being started to do something very, very interesting and impressive with the LED volumes for the virtual productions. So from this year, we have seen that top of that, the growth momentum is much stronger than last year. So obviously in the Asian market, we definitely will see a skyrocketing in the terms of number of stages and also the number of works produced by those different digital stages. In this November, we will be releasing a new studio with our partner. The end user is one of the largest content company in the world. And it is really going to be something very impressive for the end of November, for sure. So yeah, to sum up is we definitely seen that the XR and VP has been changing the people's way of producing film or TV series or all type of works, and also even the type of events from the real life face-to-face one to virtual ones, and all those have been shaped a lot after the implication of XR studios.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks. Luke, what's your view on this?
I think in the Asian market, there is definitely a lot of strong domestic markets for content production. So markets like China, Japan, Korea, India, Malaysia, where they are developing a lot of content using XR or even virtual production for domestic consumption. And I think any one of those markets is in of itself quite a significant market. Given that these all coexist in Asia, it is, I think, probably going to be the strongest market going forward, just for the sheer breadth of countries in Asia, and even some of the interest we've seen so far, and just the build up. And I think Frank has highlighted, similarly in Korea, we've already seen a lot of interest in XR virtual production setups, China as well. So I think the market in Asia is already quite big, but it will grow significantly bigger, probably over the course of the next couple of years, and as life starts to get a little bit easier, with the virus situation more under control.
Excellent. Nice. Serkan, how is it for you in Asia?
Looking from the broad perspective, I mean, we have done almost 1/3 of the business in Asia last year, and it was almost the same that our business in the United States.
Wow.
But by the way, let's say the content of the business that we've been working in Asia is more technology focused, rather than a solution oriented as it was in the United States. So I would really say that the Asian market likes the new technology and adapts very easily. I mean, all those new, let's say, use cases has arrived from South Korea, Japan, and a few although it's large semi-continent, China. And we believe that's going to grow much more than as it is today. Looking from the let's say today's let's say global situation, these new business lines, let's say, or the new use cases in the film industry, commercial making, production areas, and all those concerts, live concerts, etc., all those stuff has not slowed down after the first year of the pandemic. We are in the second year, and I could easily say it's just doubled, because maybe they were just the pioneers last year, found out the need and put the solution on stage, and then now there are some followers copying the solutions and delivering similar productions in the markets, which is very good. Let's say film production industry was a little bit reluctant to make the change, basically because the workflow is so different for them. So it's not easy for them to comprehend the, let's say, planning, design beforehand, and making the finished pixels on set. It has lots of advantages, of course. Easy to count them one by one, but it is not easy to for all those seasoned, well-known and established people who know their business in the other workflow very well to make the change and get the advantages of this current system. So it's going to take time. There are serious trials in India, in in Singapore, China, and Japan. There's very serious, let's say, investments, and they're trying on, and probably they are going to have good productions very soon. But they need to get used to it, you know. The studio workflow, the way that people work in the studio during the shootings, etc., is, you know, they have to see it from the other way around. And they have to see that it is going to bring them the focus of their focus to the shots instead of the other components to be corrected later on. They can see what is shot at that moment of time and then just finalize it. So and it needs excessive, really good amount of time. Of course, not as much as post-production, still better and you know, easier to do, but it has to be beforehand, and that is something else that creative people to work with the producers, you know.
Yeah, excellent.
So the feedback is going to work on our on their side at the end. So this is as I say, evolution, and it started already last year. And it's not going to stop because we can see that's improving and moving and adding new players in the market.
That's right. Okay, good. Mike, over to you.
Yeah, I think generally the Asian market is, I mean, I could sum it up with one word from our side, and that is potential. Fantastic potential. I mean, looking back over the last few years, probably about 1/3 of our business has been in Asia. And just looking at my list, you know, we already have dealers in India, Korea, Thailand, China, Singapore, Japan, and hopefully quite soon Malaysia as well. And every day, you know, we're getting more and more inquiries from the broader Asian market looking to explore and experiment with XR. And just, I guess, to pick up on what Serkan said, there is the workflow is different. There's definitely a little bit of a lack of education and understanding out there in how the end-to-end, you know, how the workflow kind of comes together. But I found that all of the customers and potential customers that we're working with in Asia, they seem to be the most willing to be flexible and to adapt to that. So I think, I mean, and if you look at there are various websites that give you global forecasts of film production, and Asia, you know, the graphs just kind of go through the roof in terms of the forecasts. So it's a real focus for us. And you know, being remote from our main base in the UK, obviously, you know, we have a sales and technical presence in China and another office that covers the rest of Asia. So working with really good partners is crucial to us. And we've got a couple of really great teams out there working alongside us in Asia and looking to bring on more all the time. And I'm really excited personally by the enthusiasm, you know, out there. And I think that's what's going to help us drive this forwards.
Nice. Thank you, Mike. Wilfred, can we have your view?
Yep. Talking about Asia, I'm not going to talk about Asia.
Yeah,
I'm in charge of Malaysia. So let's talk about Malaysia. Malaysia XR market. What we can see in Malaysia is the demand of XR from rental industry, and because due to a lot of restriction of gathering, so a lot of these rental, they moving from previously maybe they doing like projector LED, and their business stop and quite a struggle. So they moving to virtual event, especially big brand in Malaysia. They launch a new product. They always look for solution to promote, and this is what XR come in. So at the moment in Malaysia, rental market is big market for us. That's why where Panasonic fit in with our PTZ robotic camera. Yeah. At the moment, what we can see XR, rental in Malaysia. And from others like education, they still have some of the university, they start moving, try to change different way of style of teaching methods. Yeah, so this is what's happened at the moment in Malaysia.
Okay, great. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for your perspective in that, and I mean it's been really interesting. Well, let's take it up a notch a bit. Frank, question for you. What is the process of setting up an XR LED stage? Basically, the hardware and software from the time they purchase, and it goes on stage for a show. What is the process? Can you just share with us the?
Yeah, so I might not be very professional about the overall process for building up or setting up a virtual production stage, but mostly I had a few experience helping my clients setting up the stages from the very beginning, in touch with them, doing the demos. So normally I'll reach out to our end users and our partners, helping them to testing the cameras in front of our panels to see how those panels work and perform in front of the cameras, whether in RE, RED, or other series type of cameras. So upon that, once they determine or decide on which type of panels to choose, they normally will ask us to provide a detailed information about the install, like whether it could be in stocking or rigging on the ceilings or something. So basically, it will be for ours, for the LED parts, it will be quite easy. We're basically like building some other type of indoor screens for them, but except that it will be with some more expertise, helping them to know more about the structure parts, and also we sometimes need to helping them to address the issues that might occur.
So the method is fairly straightforward. This is like a plug and play. It's just attaching each panel up and building it up into a complete stage. Is as easy as that?
Yes, for us, normally it was quite the type of things we providing the panels for our partners. They will be collaborating with the local partners, or if we have our like rental partners there, they will head over there to setting up the stages for them. But
Right.
now it seems a little bit there'll be some changes here, especially in our home country market. We are now becoming a whole package solution provider. We even design and make the structure for them to help them setting up the screens for the ceilings, for the main wall, for the floors and everything. And now I even have to get in touch. Now I'm in touch, starting to get in touch with the trackers and like NCAM. So now I know Mike. So definitely I'll reach out to you after this call. Before we were knowing is for Mosses, for Red Spy, and we know that my partners, I think in Korea, they're using using NCAM, their trackers as well. Yeah, so now we are more like a whole package solution provider, but we're also looking forward to have more partners, as more parties being involved together, bring a very quality and reliable solutions. That's the main goal to helping them setting up the XR stage.
Okay, thank you very much. Luke, can you tell us about how Brompton's HDR offers impressive image quality improvement with these processors? Can you also elaborate a little bit on the software and hardware workflows?
So for us, the biggest change with high dynamic range support has been that with standard dynamic range, for each pixel, the processor is receiving a brightness level for red, green, and blue. With that information, the processor can receive images, but there's no, in standard dynamic range, there's not anything telling the processors what a full bright white pixel actually corresponds to. With high dynamic range, and just to keep things sort of relatively simple, the processor is in most cases actually, apart from the HDR footage, is receiving metadata, which describes the range of brightness levels and color space, the range of colors that is used in the content. The processors using this information, and with LED panels that are calibrated with our hydro calibration system, when it is taking this video, processing it and displaying it on LED panels, because the processor knows about the video input, its range of brightness levels, the format of HDR, the range of colors used, and because it knows the capabilities of the panels in terms of brightness and color, it allows us to show video on screen with a much greater level of accuracy in terms of what brightness things are on display, and with a lot more fidelity as well. So really, I think in short, the benefits we've definitely seen from high dynamic range video is more accurate representation of brightness and color on screen, a lot more granularity in details, and improved grayscale performance.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks. Thank you, Luke. What about Serkan? How does ZD, zero density, integrate between LED versus green screen? I know that you all have done some marvelous works, especially with the Fox Studios, the Fox Sports, where you have done something with the green screen and also the LED. Can you share with us some of your experiences and challenges here?
I mean, it is by nature that we've been feeding both from green and LED at the same time to create a composite solution for a 360 degrees solution as the outcome. So I believe it was in 2019, we presented in the NAB using a part of the Fox Studio design to show a portal screen, which was basically an LED screen, which was a part of the green, and the presenter was interacting with the let's say a car, which was drawn out from the LED screen, and there was all those interactions and lights and reflections, etc. So it was by nature a part of our product, of course, and was always driven with the same engine, the LEDs and the green, and we had lots of different uses. And that is not the only one, of course. We had similar examples still being used in Canada and France, and even UK. I believe in the Match of the Day has also evolved at the same time, as far as I know. So this was the first, let's say, use cases, and after all those events, we had additional projection screen and of course LED being used separately in productions and concerts. And we even had some, let's say, advanced use cases like volumetric capture connection into the studio. And it was, I mean, all those outcomes fascinating, and it is doable anyway. And it was, but now it's being used more because of the current situation.
I can imagine the amount of tracking needed, amount of tracking information needed for something like that. And I would personally like to bring this question up to Mike. Thanks, Serkan. Mike, leading on from zero density, what Serkan mentioned is, can you tell us about the NCAM hybrid tracking capabilities?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that NCAM tracks the environment and thereby kind of gives you the position of the camera has changed a little bit since the original camera. So the original camera was doing what we call natural feature tracking. So this is inside out tracking. So no need for external markers, external lights, external tracking devices like you might have with something like Vive, for example. This is a different kettle of fish. So the original product was looking for natural features in the environment. So corners, edges, points of contrast, anything it could see as a point in space. We could see that from two lenses, which gave us a 3D point. We see many hundreds of points. That gives us what we call a point cloud, which lets you triangulate the exact position of the camera in space. And of course, we combine that with encoded lens data. So we have the focus, iris, zoom. So we can pass on to Serkan and his ZD engine the exact position, trajectory of the camera, but of course also what the camera can see from the lens. So what we do, and this is not my sales pitch, but this is an advantage over other tracking solutions, is we don't just have one method of tracking, which is the natural features. We combine that with IMU data. So both the old device and the new device have got the IMU in there. So accelerometer, gyroscopes, magnetometers, etc. Now that doesn't give you the exact position, but it gives you the relative position of the camera. And what our algorithm is kind of continually doing is it's comparing all of the different tracking calls, we call them. So we have the natural feature tracking call, we have the IMU tracking call, and the way that works as a simple example is the point cloud gives us an exact position at frame 1, and it gives us an exact position at frame 2. And then the algorithm will look at the IMU and saying, is that the position that you predicted based on the motion? So what we've done and added to that with the Mark II is it's kind of to meet the demands of the increasing number of environments that NCAM is used in, is we've introduced also the ability to track a pattern of circular markers as an option. And those are reflecting infrared light, and those are lined up on the ceiling in a circular spiral pattern. So what our software does is it effectively just sees those as more points in the cloud. So you can switch on the infrared or the visible or even the IMU, but I wouldn't switch the IMU off. You can switch these on and off independently. And this is what we call hybrid tracking. So it's the ability to match the features in the space that you're tracking, whether they're visible, whether they're reflective, to match those, to match the way we're tracking with the environment that you're working in. And that's what we call feature tracking. And just to add there, one kind of cool thing we've done is rather than our old product, which was a bespoke in-house designed product, we've moved across to base our product on the Intel RealSense platform, which some of you probably know. So we've developed that in partnership with Intel. And one of the cool things about being on board with Intel, obviously, you know, they have billions more R&D dollars than we will ever have. So we already know there are sensors in their device already that we don't yet take advantage of. But over time, we're going to introduce those to gather even more data to pass on to either live tracking or post-production. And of course, you know, as Intel introduce more features down the line, it's relatively easy for those to introduce those to the customers. So hybrid tracking today is going to become even more of a feature, I think.
Fantastic. Now, thanks, Mike. Having said that, it'll be interesting, Wilfred, if for you having a PTZ camera, to have this challenge and to be in the virtual world. Tell us how the tracking is done in a PTZ camera.
PTZ camera, the robotic camera, we have tracking called face tracking, run on the software, and the software will automatically follow the particular person. Even you can pre-upload of the particular presenter or speaker, the face. So the software will run and just track the person without any operator. This is what we have at the moment. Even though the highest spec we have is 4 for tracking at the same time. What it means is, for example, you have the virtual in front and we have a multiple camera. And we activate this multiple camera at the same time tracking a single person without operator to control or to preset. So this is what tracking Panasonic remote camera has at the moment.
Excellent. That's very interesting because the remote, I think this is the UE 150, right? I believe.
Yeah. It's a UE 150.
Okay. And and what you're saying is the tracker is it internal or is it that sits on the platform itself of the holder? Where is it located actually?
Okay. If talking about the face tracking, it's not up to the camera. It's a software. Software acts as a base, as a back end. So not only UE 150, but any other Panasonic remote camera can work as well. It depends on how normally our customer requests what kind of spec. For example, like UE 150, we have a 4K resolution, even color space like BT 2020. So if the customer require like TV station, they have a show request that I want to have a very good picture quality, then only we will propose this UE 150. Yeah. Okay,
that's good. Thanks, Wilfred. Frank, coming back to you. Let's go into some technical effects on LED screen. What's a moire effect? And I noticed that this happens a lot with LED screens. And how does AOTO reduce them or remove them completely? Does this have anything to do with pixel pitch? Can you just enlighten us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lois. Normally, moire effect is kind of a visual perception that occurs, when you see a set of lines or dots that is superimposed on another set of lines or dots. So normally that we could see, it happens to any type of LED screens where you can see many lines or many dots that they are regularly or irregularly patterned or arranged on the surface of the LED panels. So the thing is how each manufacturers or LED providers, how the technology and also the design on the LEDs to reduce the moire effect. And for ours, ever since we provided the first 400 square meter, the 1.5 mil LED tiles, also the COD series, we set up a studio for one of the top effects companies. Then we came up with the idea that the package of 4-in-1 could be efficiently to reduce the moire effect that the screen could create in front of the cameras. Because for the 4-in-1, we now changed from the previously dot surface, for the SMD, for the conventional type of LED screens. You see many dots that independently and individually set on the panels. And you will see that those dots will be easily create the type of a moire effect, whether they're lighted up or not. So for the 4-in-1, actually, because of the crosstalk design between the 4 LEDs on one piece of place, it could be efficiently reduce the light interference between each LEDs. So that's how we reduce the moire effect. And the second type of things is the hardware were mounted on the LEDs and the type of LEDs and also the driver ICs behind it. All those type of things is how we manage it to reduce the moire effect in the most view angles or the camera shooting angles. And that's what we always do to support, to persuade, and also to suggest our clients to do the test using the cameras by making the shootings from different angles to figure out that which panels that works well or the best for them.
Yeah. Well, good. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for that. Luke, let's talk about. I realized that the Brompton processors comes loaded with heaps of features. Now, picking 3 of the features that you have right now about on dark magic, thermical, and 3D LUTs. Can you elaborate a little bit on these features?
Of course. So each one of these features is being developed at a slightly different time and originally for a slightly different application. The dark magic feature is a feature we've placed in the processors that tries to mitigate some of the effects that you can get with an LED screen when you run it at low brightness. When you take an LED screen, particularly a screen that's quite bright natively, so something like an outdoor product would suffer worse from this. If you turn that down to a very low brightness level, you can end up in a situation where the panel doesn't really have much bit depth available to show images and to process grayscale. To a user, this may seem like video or a pattern on screen where if you had a nice smooth image to say like a blue sky on a sunny day, that may end up looking steppy between each individual brightness level. Dark magic is designed to try and induce some randomized noise to try and break that up, with the twin benefits of smoothing out those visible steps between individual brightness levels and to try and retain some of the details in the darker parts of your content. That feature is something we released 4 or 5 years ago now, because we had a lot of customers, particularly live events customers, taking screens indoors for corporate events where you have to use a screen at low brightness if you're showing something like a PowerPoint presentation all day. The second feature, thermal calibration, allows us to measure how a panel behaves thermally or over a range of temperatures. As LED panels heat up, different components or areas may get hotter. The LEDs will all obviously get hot, but things like driver chips, power supplies, by the nature of how they work, can get hotter than, say, parts of the LED panel that don't have these components. This can leave your LED panel with effects. So it's quite common if you have an LED screen on for quite a long time at full brightness, you can start to make out things like where the PSUs are mounted in panels, because the LEDs in front of the PSU, so power supplies, get hotter and thus dimmer. Thermocal allows us to quantify that. It allows us to quantify how the white color changes as the panel gets hotter, and basically profile that and allow the user to make an adjustment. They can basically start to correct out for patterns and for changes in the white color. And that can just be useful for users where if you have a screen that is getting hot and you're looking at it to something like a camera, having those darker parts or changes in white temperature can be quite noticeable. The third feature, 3D LUT, is a new feature we've released in the last month or so, and it allows users to basically import a 3D LUT, 3D lookup table to the processor. The 3D lookup table basically defines what color changes we want the processor to apply to the visual input. So these can be used in post-production to give footage out of a camera a certain look, such darkening content, make adjustments to color. But to allow users who are working with virtual production at XR, where the final pixel will be seen in camera, we've added this functionality into the processor to allow them to essentially pre-grade, either artistically or for technical reasons, the video input before it goes to the LED screen.
Nice, nice. Okay, cool. Just to elaborate a little bit more, we've known in the industry about REC 709, and now I believe it's REC 2020. Can you just tell us the difference between this the REC 709 and REC 2020 and its applications?
So REC 709 was the color space that was specified for standard definition TV. REC 2020 has a broader, supports a broader range of colors and was specified in the 4K standards. What we are seeing is a general trend towards things like REC 2020, DCI P3 as color spaces that are used on video inputs on our 4K processors, where the video input can benefit from a broader supported range of colors. So your colors can be more saturated, and you get a wider range of red, greens, and blues in the combined colors to show content and transmit content with.
Well, thanks, Luke. You nailed it. Serkan, can we know a little bit of what is Reality Engine?
Yeah, of course. Reality Engine is has been always, let's say, a modified version of the Unreal, Epic Games Unreal Engine. So we had a special agreement, of course, with them since the beginning, and we had an R&D. We forked the Unreal, and we created the Reality Engine to address the additional needs of broadcasting and production. So it is more easy and intuitive to use products, and the needs of those professionals using rendering engines for production purposes are addressed with the software itself. So basically, Reality Engine is natively a forked version of Unreal, and the other components surrounding, let's say, the solution is the Reality Keyer software, which is totally our own software, and I mean, doubtlessly say that it is the best in the market, as it is doing real-time image-based keying, which is, I mean, not comparable to any others, actually. And the third, let's say, pillar of this, let's say, software stack is the control software, which is called the Reality Hub, which is recently launched with the new version. And it is actually, it's going to be, I mean, it has been always, of course, but now it's going to be the sole control point for the complete studio, and an integration point again for the other automation solutions, etc. So it's going to be now, with the new products here, it's going to be very easy, much easier than even before, and we've been calling it easy too. And it's going to be much easier for people to learn and get used to and start using it in a very short time. And I would like to say talk about another product here, which is helping producers, the creative people or the content developers, to migrate their assets into Reality Engine, which is the product called DataSmith is actually helping people to migrate all their assets into the Reality Engine, which means that their experience, let's say, or their personal developments and assets are not wasted, and it's going to be used. So this is very important. Of course, there are some tips and tricks about it. You have to except from Cinema 4D format. For the rest, in general, we advise users to separate the textures from the design and then apply the textures in the reality to enable the real performance advantage of the system, of course. But for Cinema 4D, it is also natively imported without any need to separate it. So I believe in most cases, Maya users, Cinema 4D users will be very happy to easily migrate their assets into the reality environment. So these are all the pillars and components that I would like to talk about the product. So that's all.
Okay, that sounds good. And this also involves the assets that comes from Unreal Engine in their own forums, which you can actually tap and use it in Reality Engine, right?
Definitely. I mean, the good thing about the Unreal Engine based solution is that there are literally millions of designs and assets in the market for free, for very cheap, costs, and it is no-brainer to migrate it to. I mean, I wouldn't even call it migration. It's just importing it.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that, Serkan. Mike, what are the key features that make the latest NCAM products the best choice for virtual production?
Yeah, wow. Well, that's quite a big topic. We could talk for quite a while about that. But I think
3 minutes.
Yeah, I think the key for us is that everything that we've introduced with the new product has been driven directly by both customer feedback and by feedback from our other technology partners, such as some of the other panelists today. And listening to kind of all that feedback, the key things that we want to do is we want to make the camera tracking transparent and as far as possible invisible. Everyone wants to concentrate on the editorial and the creative side of things. The technology, particularly something as boring as camera tracking, it just needs to be invisible. So what we've tried to do is we've made great changes to make the setup of the equipment faster and easier. We've introduced a web user interface so that, for example, the quite heavy technical engineering user interface, maybe that's just needed on the first day of the shoot, and then moving forwards, maybe just the camera guy can control. Oh, you can't see that. Maybe the camera guy can just control that on his cell phone. So that's around the kind of ease of use. We also know that these days people want to deploy the system on more various types of rigs. So we've now actually got the smallest on-camera footprint of all our equipment. And that's actually been further improved a couple of weeks ago, because one of the conflicts we had is that a lot of our customers said, we want to mount your server on the camera. So we developed this tiny little server that mounts on the camera. And then, of course, the other half of our customers said, we don't want that, get that off the camera. So we've now developed a much smaller connection box, which is around about a quarter of the size of the server. So the actual on-camera footprint is pretty tiny now. And all of that really is about giving customers the most flexibility. So because of the hybrid tracking I spoke about, we can be used indoors, outdoors, LED stages, green screens. Esports is a big one for us. And, those big arena events typically have lots of smoke and pyrotechnics and flashing lights. So we're pretty flexible in terms of the space we can live in. But I think on the partnership side of things, we're kind of aware that we have to be kind of completely agnostic to any other system we're going to meet on an XR stage. So nobody is going to change their cameras. So someone who's selected his Panasonic cameras and his ARRI lenses is not going to choose NCAM and they say, oh, NCAM doesn't work with Panasonic, so we're going to throw that out. We're going to use Sony cameras instead. So we're the last piece that is going to be chosen. So we know that we have to work with every camera, every lens, every LED screen, every processor, every graphics engine. So we're doing a lot of work these days on improving and updating those integrations. We'll integrate with any graphics platform through, the industry standard 3D protocol, but suppliers partners who want to take advantage of the deeper feature set that we include in our data stream, they can really simply and quickly integrate our SDK. So that makes that kind of integration piece a lot simpler. So those are really the kind of the things that we have improved over the last year, and those are our kind of our targets, if you like, particularly the simplicity of operation. I guess the final one is cost. I mean, compared to the our old system could cost you up to $90,000. Our new system starts from around $6,000. So it's an order of magnitude different to the old system.
Excellent. Okay, so I know that we are past the hour, but we're just going to go on for another 15-20 minutes if we can wrap it up by then. So I've got 2 more questions to go, and we have a couple of questions coming up from the audience. Now, audience, just as I'm going to ask the next question, I'd like you to also put in the chat group, what are your opinion, your in terms of LED and the difference between LED and green screen. Are you still very much a green screen person, or are you willing to move forward to LED based on what we've been chatting so far? So just put your opinion on the chat group while I ask the next question to Wilfred. Wilfred, you mentioned the 3D is a protocol in our earlier conversation. Can you tell us more about how this works with the robotic camera?
Okay, so as just now earlier, I have mentioned Panasonic manufacture robotic camera like in 12 years, and just recent years, R&D tried to fit in this 3D protocol, so that the 3D protocol can speak with 3D engine like zero density directly. So it's pretty straightforward once you activate like UE 150. And another product is UE 100. Is only two upon that a lot of model. We only have 2 this consider high-end robotic camera that have this equipped with the 3D protocol to provide like zoom, pan, tilt, focus, and iris information to virtual engine like zero density. So for them to work on the virtual event or any, yeah.
Okay, cool. So just before we get mellowed down and before we wrap up, just one more round of intense questions to the panel. Frank, coming back to you again. What are the major reasons clients prefer using your panels for an XR solution? And maybe tell us a little bit about the mini LED and the HDR10 technology.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mike, for the integration part, I will be very happy to send over some panels for you to do some more testing. Yeah.
We'd be happy with that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So for the reasons that why the clients choose our panels, I think there are some reasons. I can name a few. So mostly that our clients knew that AOTO and our panels like the 1.5 mil and 2.3 mil are one of the 2 best brands or 2 best options they could choose for cutting edge applications. We have been keeping telling our clients that to make the decisions, tune your camera, taste all the panels and pixels, and the system integrate with all the tiles to figure out that which type of tiles that works well or best fit for the cameras and the overall integrated systems. Well, they choose us for good reasons, and because our products might meet the needs in every possible way. So for example, we offering ultra high refresh rate. I remember that we are 6 months ahead than our competitors and our other rivals that bringing out the high refresh rate, 7,680 Hertz, and also coming at a 1/6 scan rate. And even today, we have more counterparts and our competitors. They are being releasing their own version of premium scan rate products. And the other sense is not just for the tech, for the tech spec part, like the gamut, the color space, and also for the wider view angle for the camera shootings, and also is the design language for our products. After all, we have designed it based on the previous model 1.5 mils we provided for Hollywood blockbuster shooting in the year 2020. Apart from that, we have keep polishing and crafting over panels, bringing out powerful text specs and also the performances for the panels. So for the main features is now we have more a very comprehensive product range aiming at the ceilings, the main LED walls, and also for the floor tiles. And all those type of tiles, even for some of them, are very tailored and bespoke pieces or type of items that made for broadcasting, for filming industry, and for all type of applications. Yeah, those are the top of these things that we think are the features our client choose us and ruled by the effect and content companies. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, since we are coming close to the timing, where timing is concerned, I'm going to go straight again with Frank. Can you just give us some types of application where the panels have used, some of the type of clients that have purchased your panel?
Yeah, so we know that for some of our clients, they are not ready to share the cases, but we could just tell the type of cases we're done, like for IOM. We have partnered 1 or 2 projects in London, and also this year for another Hollywood content company, we built up I think it's around 300. There were 2 stages actually. Each of them are ranged at 330 square meters. That was in UK, and in South Korea we have supplied each 100 square meter stage, and that is for Axon Studios and for Dexter's. That's what we have been doing these days. And also for the United States, we also deliver several stages. And also like for Microsoft, we released the new products using the virtual production with over 1.5 million tiles. And in the Asia Pacific region, we will be pushing much harder to help and to support our local partners and clients in this region to setting up more stages. I have mentioned previously that this November, we will be releasing out another most powerful stages in this region, coming up soon in the middle of November. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And I know that your stage was actually used in one of a blockbuster movie that's going to come out even, I think, next year. I believe so. I don't think so. You can mention the name, right?
I think I can name it next time. They will be aired, I think, in the year 2020. For the other 2 type of series, I think they will be shooting for a lot more TV series. So we are still waiting for the client's confirmation that when we might able to do this type of marketing materials using their cases. But I think we will be releasing that soon in the end of 2021.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Frank. Luke, can you tell us what kind of application and where Brompton is currently being used or can be used in future?
Absolutely. Although to echo Frank's comments, it may be a little bit difficult to talk in specifics of some customers, just to respect their privacy. I think on a broad level, the processors have a range of applications: live events, music events, corporate events, in-person events. Although obviously over the last 18 months, that's not necessarily been a particularly strong market. Moving further along, extended reality and visual production applications where screen is needed. Our LED panels are going to be used on camera, and you need that ability to manage how inputs, video inputs are portrayed on screen, and adjusting things like synchronization with cameras, and adjusting performance of the LED screen to match cameras. In terms of use cases, we are seeing a global, and have been for a while, been seeing a global uptake of our processing for XR virtual production. I think some of the headline projects would obviously be Pixelmondo in Toronto. They've spoken quite openly about their large volume in Toronto. I think also Exxon Studios, which I know Frank and AOTO have been part of. There is a variety of XR applications. So Aux Media Group in Singapore have built an XR setup that's using Brompton. As have White Light, who we've actually done a video about their use of Brompton processors for XR. There is a lot more projects that are actively ongoing, and even more that are in discussion. But I think because this is an emerging use of processing an LED, a lot of people are keeping their cards quite close to the chest and either can't or don't really want to share too much information.
Okay. Thanks, Luke. Serkan, I know I've asked you this. You've answered this question earlier, but I'm going to ask you a different question. I've also come to understand that you carry the EPP, which is the Educational Partner Program, and also a 3P program. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. Basically, these two are our partnership or membership programs to help, let's say, the community and the newcomers, let's say, to learn and develop their business and knowledge on top of the reality software. And basically, for EPP is an educational partnership program which is offered for the education institutions who would like to, who has some, let's say, special departments to lecture about visual production. And it is we are supporting them during the membership program, and we are also helping them on their lectures. And of course, we teach their trainers, etc. So that's a membership program for the educational institutions. We have some in the region, by the way, and we have some discussions for some of the others. In Thailand and Vietnam, they are going to be the new ones, universities for the education partner program. For the 3P it's the production partner program for the let's say entry-based or mid-sized production companies to start using the program and software and pay as they earn, as when they have a project signage, and then they start using it for production purposes and then pay for it, etc. So these are basically supportive programs for the individuals and let's say mid-sized companies to get into this area and start developing business for themselves. So these are the two programs that we offer throughout the world and in Asia, of course. And as said, currently we have a couple of partners already signed and working in this model in Asia.
Oh, fantastic! That'll make a lot of education institutes, wanting to have something of this kind of solution, because I understand that education in filmmaking is going to change, and that this is going to really help. Thanks, Serkan. Mike, what is on the horizon for NCAM in the near future, and also what are the new advances in VP overall that are most exciting?
Okay, so I think the stuff that's on the horizon for us in the near future, obviously I can't give too much detail away, but we're seeing a great demand from the film industry for the people who capturing final pixel on set is not quite there. So there is still a great demand for capturing data for reuse in post-production. So we're going to be doing some quite exciting work on capturing and reusing data in post-production. We're also going to be doing a lot more in leveraging those technology partners that I've mentioned are so important to us with other providers. Something which is kind of in the last stages of testing at the moment really is fully wireless operation, which is something we're being asked for a lot from people who, you know, they want to operate their cameras completely free of any tether. I mean, transmitting video wirelessly has been done for years. Integrating our tracking data with that and keeping it in sync is a bit of a challenge, but we're really there. And there's some other interesting things to come pretty soon in terms of the overall theme I've mentioned, which is simplifying and speeding up the operation. In terms of the future, what I think is most exciting, I mean, obviously the filmmaking side of things kind of aside, is that as a technologist, the most exciting thing is seeing how ourselves and, you know, all of our partners, the people who are here today, how we're going to collaborate to kind of meet these challenges, and also how we're going to, you know, educate the market, because each of us knows a lot about our own piece of the technology chain. There's very few people out there who understand everything from end to end. So, you know, when a DOP comes onto a set who's never experienced virtual production before, who's he going to ask? Is he going to ask Brompton? Is he going to ask Panasonic? Is he going to ask AOTO or Zero Density or me? No, he needs someone who understands the whole piece. So that's a really interesting challenge. And I guess the final one is, I mean, we all know that in the pandemic, the way people produce content, whether it's film or live events or broadcast, that's completely changed. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how many of those changes are going to remain, particularly around, you know, the efficiency of how productions have been produced with less people on set, less travel, less equipment. And I don't know how it is in the Asian market and Malaysia, but over here in the UK, every film and every TV production has to produce an environmental impact statement on, you know, how much electricity they're using, how much CO2 they're producing. Virtual production and how the pandemic has changed things has really helped that environmental aspect. It would be great if, you know, some of that could be maintained kind of, you know, when the world gets back to normal. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Mike, for that. Wilfred, what type of application and where can it be used in Panasonic?
What kind of application?
For the PTZs, yes, especially.
For the PTZ. Okay, yeah. For the PTZ in the past, there's a variety of like education or parliament, even like conference system, like work together with the third party, like Extron. I'm not sure whether you guys familiar Extron, Caxtron. That's kind of solution. Education, live stream especially. And yeah, just this recent year, especially once the pandemic coming, yeah, XR is like coming up even in mid-range production in Malaysia, and also especially rental house, as mentioned before. And we are trying to, like as mentioned, trying to educate our user, even in education, especially they just don't know how to work on it. Even renter. Previously their business is focused on LED, on projector, but they stopped their business because of this pandemic. Yeah, they are trying to learn new. As what Mike have mentioned, we understand all our products, but I think compared previously, few years or 10 years ago, we need to know more than just our product, how to work together to give the full solution. Yeah, this is what Panasonic doing right now.
And I believe the PTZs that you have right now are not the ordinary PTZ cameras. You know, where people think it's something.
Yeah.
So professional category in terms of pricing as well, right? You know.
Yes, especially sometimes even user they don't understand what is PTZ camera. They thought like, oh, the designs look like a CCTV.
Exactly.
So this is where we need to I need to educate them and let them to understand is more than CCTV. It's a broadcast standard, professional standard. You can even have a huge color space to do on it, work on productions, work on a film. Yeah.
Okay. So we're coming down to, thanks a lot for that, Wilfred. So we, because of time, we are looking at let's do one last round, a very quick answer from each of y'all. What would be your advice to potential clients based on your products? Just give me a single sentence. Frank, you can start for you. what would be your advice to your client? Just a straightforward.
Yeah, hello. I just lost you for a while.
Okay. Do you hear my question?
No, sorry.
Okay. I was just saying
something happening on my network.
Give us a quick answer in terms of a single sentence. What would be your advice to potential clients or potential customers who want to buy your product?
Well, I would say I'll be happy to send over panels and also to invite. Yeah, I'm really, because that's what I've been doing. I've been keeping sending panels to each of our potential clients, or any of them would like to try to tell the differences between the green screen and the LED panels. We'd really love to send over the panels and also invite our partners like these guys or Brompton, and also our partners with the tracker parts to help them how to, to help them tell the differences at least, and to try to get their hands on the virtual production with the LED volumes. That would the thing.
That's a mouthful. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Luke, over to you.
This might be a long sentence. I think we would just say to any prospective customer two things. One, talk to us. That's what we're here for. Questions, comments, you need support. Like Frank said, you actually need equipment for testing with. And two, test some more. It's not, it's an emergent technology. It's a lot of technologies that are being used together. But ultimately, the end result is creative in its nature, and that we're not at a stage where just knowing two ends of the system, we'll magically know how well it performs. So talk to us and be prepared to test to understand what you can really get out of this. And talk to us.
Awesome. Serkan, what about you? Your view in a nutshell?
First, single sentence, okay? And advice. Just download our community edition software on a decent machine and play with it, and you will know what you are going to do.
Excellent. Can't be more straightforward than that. Okay, Mike, over to you.
Yeah, I guess hard to fit it in a sentence. I guess I would say that no matter what you see on behind the scenes videos on YouTube, XR production, you'll see The Mandalorian. They make it look simple. It's not simple. It's probably more complex than you think if you're starting from zero. So take your time, talk to all the different suppliers, find out what other people have done, find out the mistakes they've made, avoid expensive mistakes yourself, and give yourself time. So don't try and go straight from your training session into your first day of shooting a blockbuster. Give yourselves time to learn and to experiment.
All right, thanks for that, Mike. Wilfred, let's hear from you.
Single sentence. I would say, seems like Frank mentioned, we have demo sets to test, and then we also have Panasonic also have the software, and not only just produce a camera, we have a lot of different software to fit in. So also you can download it. A lot of our software even free and trial. So same. Try and test and look at the studies before purchase. Yeah, even though you can look on the YouTube nowadays, right? So yeah, this is my advice for our client.
All right, thanks a lot, Wilfred. Okay, so we have completed our side of the questions. So I'm putting the questions out to the floor right now. Anybody has questions? Can you can actually unmute yourself and ask these questions, or you can actually post it. I have one question here from Aisha. Aisha, I believe you actually, Serkan has actually answered you. One can be forgiven for thinking that LED screens are the only solution based on your panel members. But my experience with mixed reality production is the green screen will have a role for a long time. maybe Serkan can share his view if time permits.
If it does, yes. Simply, I mean, as I already answered here, it is by definition there are two different technologies, and although it seems to let's say come closer to each other, it doesn't. When you focus into an individual and the backend, there's a LED screen. It doesn't. I mean, the camera knows that there's a physical thing over there, and the depth feeling is not going to be the same. So in that case, a real virtual composition, of course, by keying the individual and putting that individual into 3D space, apart from all the physical environment, is the best solution for, let's say, focusing on the individual and, of course, taking all the use of the 360-degree content. But apart from that, you might still need ease of applying color reflections on the objects in the studio or the set. So in that case, it is much, let's say, useful to apply LED back walls, backdrops for having the real color reflections, which is connected to the rest of the virtual set. So there are lots of other use cases, as it is, of course, practically in most cases, of course, apart from all those large budget companies, it is, of course, another issue for the budgeting. If you are going to use large sets, then it's going to be something else. But I mean, we are naturally coming from the virtual space, and one of our products is one of the most important products that for us is the Keyer. We even had a client asking projecting green on their LED screens because they have lots of money. They said, we are going to build this wall with LED screens, and we would like to, of course, project videos, and sometimes we'd like to project green. And could you, key that individual presenter in front of that green? So, of course, if you have, passion to apply, to put LED screens everywhere you want, and you have lots of money to, spend for thousands of square meters, then you can use the advantage of it, definitely. But at the same time, it is not going to take over the advantages of the green by definition, because in green, you don't have to work about color correction and all those other stuff, and everything is a part of the 3D design that you already made. So, I mean, none of them is going to approach and take over the other's area, I believe. It's going to work together, and it is definitely better together.
Thank you, Serkan. Thank you. Any other questions before we wrap up? Anybody? From Raghu, how long would this technology last during pandemic, all working on virtual production? What happened after this film production moving to XR for future? So basically what he's asking is, anybody can, who wants to pick up this question, what happens after the pandemic? Are the film production going to continue with XR for the coming future, or would it go back to the conventional way of filming? So that's anyone want to pick up this?
I got a couple of words on that. I mean, obviously XR is an advantage in the pandemic situation because it enables that virtual production. But it also, it has other advantages. As Serkan was saying, green screen and LED will continue to exist side by side for a long time. But, LED allows you to get pretty close to capturing final pixels in camera. The LED screen gives you that lighting and that reflection effect, so you don't have to deal with that in post-production. It makes it easier and more natural for the actors. On an LED screen, the actor can see the virtual monster that he's fighting with, whereas on a green screen, he's just fighting with a ghost. So it makes, it makes that easier for the actors. It saves time in production. It saves time in post-production. So when we come out of the pandemic, XR production is not going to go away. No way.
Thanks.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And I already mentioned that the pandemic just started an initiative, let's say, throughout the world about the use of this the new technology, and it's going to just evolve and be bigger and bigger.
Yeah, there you have it. XR is here to stay, folks. So that's all we have time for today. Just to wrap up, I just want to let you know that we are having our next session on the 4th of September, and that will cover film education, XR and film education. And there will be 4 different universities and colleges who are actually coming in to speak on this topic. And following that, in October, we do have two other sessions, one in broadcasting and also events and also virtual tourism. So that will we are basically leading on to the conference in November. So what we're trying to do is, hopefully that all of you will just follow us, continue to follow us, and stay tuned. Join the we've put on the chat group. Join the XR group. We have an XR technology group that we keep posting new stuff on Facebook. Please join, and we'll keep you posted on the new happenings and whatnot in the coming future. So with that, again, thank you very much, PostStem, for actually becoming a co-organizer, Mr. Yokichin, who is also present here. We hope to have more partners coming up over the months, and also to build up towards the November event, which is looking to be, we were planning to be a hybrid conference, may end up to be a virtual conference. So looking at the pandemic situation, this is not changing at all. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming by. Really appreciate Wilfred, Luke, Serkan, Mike, and Frank for being panel for this round. And we really appreciate your time and effort for spending 2 hours with us on this beautiful Saturday evening over here in Malaysia. It's probably morning in the UK. Thank you again, and goodbye, everybody. See you next month.
Goodbye.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye.
Bye.